Hey y'all, TRG here, and welcome back to the video. In this video, we'll be going over 3 huge storms that will be impacting the United States this week. They will cause the potential for 3 different winter storms, including a potential blizzard in portions of eastern Kansas, as well as the opportunity for 2 significant severe weather threats in the southern United States. Let's go right on into today's video. We're going to start out here with the GFS Precipitation Type 12Z model run, and we're going to pull it out till tomorrow morning. That's when our first huge storm will be impacting the United States. You can see this is going to deliver winter storm impacts to much of the southern mid-Atlantic states and southern midwestern United States. Also, portions of Kentucky could see some snowfall out of this. The main winter storm impacts will most likely end up being out here in central Virginia, into and around the DC metro area, out there in Maryland as well, maybe even into southern and southwestern Delaware, where we could see up to 9 inches of snowfall. We'll look over those snowfall totals in just a bit. Then as we go into Tuesday night, this will progress in further into Maryland, Delaware, and southern New Jersey. And by the time we get into Wednesday morning, we'll really only have a mixed precipitation to a bit of some ice being left out there in portions of southern Virginia and extreme northwestern North Carolina. Wednesday morning, the biggest feature will be the beginning of a major winter storm out here in portions of Kansas, southern Iowa, much of northern Missouri, into southeastern Nebraska, maybe as far south as northwestern Oklahoma. Going towards about 8 a.m. Wednesday, it will continue to intensify, especially over the Kansas City metro area. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to start looking for the potential of severe weather to start kicking up out here in Louisiana, Mississippi, and into far west central Alabama as that winter storm moves off into portions of Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and western Michigan. Then as we go into Wednesday night, we will continue to see this winter storm move up into portions of far northwestern Michigan, into southeastern Ontario and the interior New England states, likely delivering a little bit less of impacts to those regions, not nearly as significant as what we should see out there in Kansas and northern Missouri. Then as we go into Thursday, we should be relatively on the tamer side of things as that large system exits the United States and a high pressure ridge forms over the central United States. However, that will change very, very rapidly as we head into Saturday morning, where another large system will be traversing the Rockies, beginning a snowstorm out here somewhere in the far western or northwestern portion of the Midwest US or into the north central plains. A little bit of uncertainties on exactly where that winter storm will be and exactly how large it may be in terms of impacts. Right now, it doesn't seem to be that significant on the winter side of things, except for in portions of far northern Illinois into Michigan and northwestern Ohio. But even then, it doesn't seem to be that notable. Before I continue on with today's video, I ask that you guys hit that like button, share this video with your family, friends, social media, and hit that subscribe button with the notification bell set to all so you know when I go live or upload a video. Let's go right back on into today's video. Most likely, the most notable part of this system on Saturday is going to be the potential for a significant severe weather outbreak here in the southern United States, where we could see very large hail, tornadoes, and potentially even some isolated damaging winds around 70 miles per hour. There will also be the opportunity for a strong tornado or two with any discrete storms that do form in the open warm sector. We'll go over that in just a minute, a little bit more in detail later on in the video. Then as we head into Sunday morning, this system will move into the mid-Atlantic states, into the northeastern U.S., really not causing much significant impacts, really just some flurries there, maybe some accumulation for the lake effect areas in New York and Pennsylvania, but overall, it shouldn't be a major winter storm going into Saturday and Sunday, just a more run-of-the-mill winter storm that we normally see in February. Then after that, we start getting into fantasy land, but I do want to note, even though this is far out, we're probably going to be looking at a pretty far southern snowstorm here going into the February 17th through 21st time frame. After this system exits the U.S. on Sunday, watch this 540 line. Look how far south it's going to be pulling. So I personally do think we will have an opportunity for a winter storm somewhere in the more south latitudes of the United States, not in the deep south, but somewhere in here we should have the opportunity for another snowstorm. And after that, I don't really want to show any more of this model run because it gets into Fantasyland beyond 220 hours out. We'll dive into snow totals in just a second, but real quick, I want to go over what the National Weather Service is literally issuing right now as of 3 p.m. Eastern. They are beginning to issue winter storm warnings out here for Washington, D.C. and southern Maryland, as well as back out here into Louisville, Kentucky, Lexington, and down down into south central Ohio, where they've recently issued those winter storm warnings. Winter storm warnings also extended to far southern Virginia, including here where I am in Martinsville. This is mainly for the potential of ice accumulation, as we could see up to a ½ inch of ice, especially in higher elevations out here near Galax, Virginia. So these are just now being issued. They've just issued winter storm warnings for Topeka, Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, out here just to the northwest of Kansas City, as well as additional winter storm warnings northwest of Hays, Kansas. Now for Dodge City, Kansas, you guys are still under winter storm watches. Radar Omega is just glitching out. You guys are under those blue boxes, which is a winter storm watch. Those winter storm watches also now go into central Illinois, southeastern Iowa, all the way up to the western ovenment of Michigan. I do want to show you guys the WSSI Winter Storm Severity Index here, and I want to point out that it does actually have major impacts for the potential of up to a ½ inch of ice out here just to the northeast of Galax, Virginia, due to that mountain right in this area. So that's going to be the area where we most likely end up with a ½ inch of freezing rain over the next 3 days. We also could see major impacts in terms of up to 9 to 10 inches of snowfall throughout portions of central Virginia up towards southern Maryland, including the DC metro area throughout much of tonight into all day tomorrow. And then as we go out here towards Kansas and Missouri, we will have yet again the opportunity for a major winter storm. Now this one could actually drop isolated areas up to about 11 inches to a foot of snowfall, specifically in and around pointing to the west of Topeka, Kansas, where we'll most likely end up with some intermediate blizzard conditions. Now let's go over the official National Weather Service forecast in terms of snow totals for the next 3 days. So if you're in Roanoke, you're looking at about 5 inches of snowfall. Lynchburg's about 5 inches of snowfall. Same goes for Richmond. You guys could all see between, I think it's about 3 to 5 inches of snowfall for you guys. If you're out here in Charlottesville, we could see up to about 7 to 9 inches of snowfall. Higher elevations could pick up to about 10 inches of snowfall being a possibility. If you're in or south of Washington, D.C., you're looking at 5 to 8 inches of snowfall. Isolated areas could see as much as 9 inches of snowfall. Then going on into Delaware, widespread 7 to 8 inches of snowfall looks to be the forecast for you guys. Higher elevations out there, West Virginia could see up to about 11 inches to maybe as high as a foot of snowfall. Then going through Kentucky, most areas are going to end up with 4 to 6 inches of snowfall. If you're in central to northeastern Kentucky, isolated amounts up to 7.5 will be possible. Further west towards Louisville, ending up with probably 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. Not really any snow totals possible for the entire state of Tennessee. Just to let you know there, you can see no snow totals for Tennessee. Then as we go into southern Illinois, you're looking at probably 1 to 2 inches of snow being possible. And then we go into that other major winter storm here in Missouri. Central Missouri, probably going to end up with, depending on exactly where you are, 5 to 7 inches of snowfall. Isolated amounts up to 8 or 9 will be possible, specifically near the Warrenburg area. Kansas City, most likely looking at about 8 to 9 inches of snow as well in that area. Topeka, same goes, 8 to 9 inches of snow. Much of central northern Kansas should see between 8 to 9 inches of snowfall. Isolated amounts may be as high as a foot of snowfall if you are west of Topeka, Kansas. Little uncertainty on exactly where that best opportunity for a foot of snowfall will be here, but somebody will most likely end up with a foot of snowfall somewhere west of Topeka, Kansas. Then going into southeastern Iowa, you're looking at about 7 to 8 inches of snowfall. Much of central northern Illinois is looking at between 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. The more north you are, the better chance you have for 7 to 8 inches of snowfall. Rockford, probably about 6 inches of snow there. Chicago, 6 to 7, maybe even isolated amounts up to 8. And then lake effect areas out here in northwestern Michigan could see about 10 inches of snowfall when this is all said and done in about 3 days. Now let's start with your severe weather threat. Tomorrow, not really much of severe weather to talk about, so we're going to skip over to Wednesday. Wednesday, we have a level 1 and a level 2 threat for the potential of 70-mile-an-hour winds, 1 inch hail, and a couple tornadoes. I wouldn't fully rule out a strong tornado on Wednesday if we could get a discrete supercell in front of our line somewhere in central or eastern Mississippi. So if you are in any of those green or yellow areas, make sure you are hyper weather aware. That yellow area goes from Baton Rouge, Louisiana to Jackson, Mississippi, also all the way into west central Alabama for Livingston, Alabama. Now let's go ahead and look at your day 6 risk from the National Weather Service, and they've highlighted a 15% chance for severe weather. This is primarily for the chance of widespread 70-mile-an-hour winds up to 2 inch hail, as well as the possibility possibility for multiple tornadoes, potentially one or two strong, over much of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Also goes into portions of Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and eastern Texas and southeastern Arkansas as well. The last time we had a day 6 risk was way back on May 26, 2024. So quite a very long time ago. These are very rare, especially as you get into second season. They are really, really rare. So not often that we see this, especially in the month of February. Now let's take a look at the GFS 12Z model run. Going on into Wednesday here, we'll see this area of just a generalized large region of flow across much of the U.S. As we go into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, we'll see this little area of enhanced flow out here in Louisiana, Mississippi, and southern Arkansas. That will help promote thunderstorm development specifically in East Texas as well as into northwestern Louisiana. That will continue throughout Wednesday afternoon and into Wednesday evening. Going into Wednesday night, it will begin to die off as instability decreases as well. So the severe threat completely overnight into Wednesday night and Thursday morning will die down quite rapidly. Now Thursday afternoon and evening, we may have the opportunity for a severe storm or two out here in portions of the southeastern United States. However, it will be very minimal. I don't think we will see much of a notable severe threat with that. Going into Saturday, you'll see this large trough here. It is positively tilted, entering much of the United States. And look at that area of enhanced flow, specifically on the southeastern side of your trough. That overlaps over portions of our severe weather area in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, as we go to Saturday evening. Now going into Saturday night, you'll see that continues to push eastward into the rest of our severe weather opportunity area like Alabama, southern Tennessee, and western Georgia, as well as the western panhandle of Florida. Going into Sunday, that will continue to weaken as it moves off to the east. Overnight, shouldn't see much of a severe weather risk going into Sunday as this severe threat will move offshore of the United States. Now let's look at instability here. So this is going into Wednesday, and you can clearly tell we will have instability across much of our severe weather zone, specifically where that slight risk is from the Storm Prediction Center out there in portions of Louisiana, Mississippi, and southwestern Alabama going into Wednesday afternoon. Wednesday evening, that will continue to push slightly more to the east. Wednesday night, we will see that instability rapidly decrease, especially beyond the 11 p.m. time frame. And then by the time we get into the overnight hours around 3 a.m., that instability will be very much near nothing in much of Alabama and Georgia. Now, Thursday, we will see a little climb of instability, as you can see here, Thursday around 1 p.m. That will lead towards the opportunity of a severe storm or two across the far southeastern portions of the U.S., but overall, shouldn't be a notable severe threat going into Thursday. Now heading on into Saturday, you can see a much larger and stronger warm sector across a much larger region of the southern United States, specifically that area of blue and light green going into Louisiana and Mississippi. That will allow for a much more potentially notable tornado threat, especially going into Saturday evening. Going into Saturday night, that instability will begin to decrease as the sun sets, and we will see the opportunity for overnight severe weather, specifically into Alabama, Georgia, and into the western panhandle of Florida. Then as we get towards 3 a.m., we should see that instability rapidly decrease. Now, Sunday, we may have an opportunity for a severe storm or two going into the far central and southern portions of Florida, but most likely that won't be anything notable. Looking at your supercell composite here, and this is going to be for Wednesday, and look at that, it actually does get up into about the 4 to 7 supercell composite region, especially out here in south central Mississippi into far eastern Louisiana. Could see a couple tornadoes, and like I mentioned before, maybe even an isolated strong tornado if we could get any discrete storms to fire, most likely around the 5-6 p.m. Eastern time frame. Then as we go into the overnight hours, you can see that will dissipate quite quickly. Still will have an opportunity for a spin-up tornado overnight, but it will be relatively on the far lower end side of things. Thursday afternoon around 1 p.m. still could have, like I said, a severe storm or two out there in the southeastern U.S. Not anything that notable. Now going into Saturday, look how much larger this is in terms of area. You can see this large area here of supercell composite stretching all the way from southeastern Texas all the way into almost south central South Carolina going into Saturday afternoon, with that more specified area of potentially significant severe weather really focused over Louisiana, Mississippi, and western Alabama. Going into Saturday evening, that will continue to push off to the east into the overnight hours now. This is about 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Still looking at that solid chance for a tornado. Then finally, towards the 3 to 4 a.m. time frame, your tornado threat will decrease very rapidly. And then, like I mentioned, going into Sunday morning, we'll have an opportunity for a severe storm or two in central southern Florida. But overall, it will be on the far lower side of things. Now let's go ahead and look at your NAM 3K model run, pulling this all the way out till Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and it really doesn't have much thunderstorm activity there. We only see a couple showers form before the time frame of 8 p.m. Then as we get towards the 9 p.m., 10 p.m. time frame Eastern time, we start to see some thunderstorms fire in Louisiana and southern Mississippi, but they're overall just messy and disorganized. So the NAM 3K model run, it really doesn't have that much of a notable tornado threat going into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. However, I do want to show you it does have a very a much larger warm sector compared to some of our other models. You can see all of the available instability here. It's a very large area of available instability going into Wednesday evening, and specifically those values up to about 1,500 in portions of Louisiana, Mississippi. So it's definitely something that we are monitoring very, very closely. And of course, this NAM model just now started to reach towards the end of our event on Wednesday. So that means there's plenty of time for this to change. I mean, we are literally 55 hours out before storms begin to fire on this model run. So that's plenty of time for things to uptrend on the NAM 3K model. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. Make sure to leave a like on the video as well as share it with your family, friends, social media. And if you can, hit that subscribe button on the way out if you are new to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, watch severe weather and the snowfall. Goodbye.